What if I told you removing every advertisement on Earth would actually make your life worse? Everyone thinks a world without ads would be perfect, but after just 48 hours, you'd be begging to get them back. Tomorrow morning, every advertisement disappears. Sounds amazing, until reality shows up. Banning advertising sounds like the best idea ever, until you realize it could destroy almost everything you use for free. You think you hate advertising? By the end of this video, you'll question everything you believe. You wake up tomorrow morning and every single ad on the planet is just gone. No billboards, no YouTube ads you have to skip. No Instagram posts trying to convince you that some random guy from Dubai cracked the code to passive income. Nothing. Just silence where the noise used to be. And your first thought is going to be something like, finally, this is actually amazing. This is the world I always wanted. But here's the part nobody talks about. Within exactly 48 hours, you are going to be standing in a supermarket staring at 17 different brands of shampoo with zero idea which one is actually good. Because the only reason you ever trusted one was because you saw the same ad 600 times until your brain just gave up, resisting it. You were never choosing. You were just surrendering. And the scariest thing is that felt completely normal. For real bro here, where we say what no one else will. Shh. Now before you go celebrate your ad-free utopia, there is a question nobody is asking. If advertising disappeared tonight, what actually fills that space? Because nature hates a vacuum, and so does your brain. Whatever replaces it might be something way, way worse. Part 1. The beautiful lie you have been living inside. Here's something that will genuinely bother you. Advertising is not just commercials. It is not just pop-ups and billboards and that guy in your comments screaming about some crypto wallet. Advertising is the invisible architecture of how you understand the world. And it has been constructing rooms inside your head since you were literally 4 years old watching cartoons about cereal. The brands you consider premium, the colors you associate with quality, the smells you connect to cleanliness, the sounds that make you feel safe. Almost all of that was engineered by someone whose only job was to make you feel a certain way, so you would hand over money without really thinking about it. And the uncomfortable truth is you are not bad at resisting advertising. You are actually spectacular at thinking you're resisting it while being completely manipulated by it. There is research on this, studies where people swear they are not influenced by brand exposure and then consistently choose the branded option over the identical unbranded product. Every single time. With total confidence. While being completely wrong. You are basically a person who thinks they are fluent in a language while mispronouncing every single word. So, when people say ban advertising, they are not just talking about removing annoying noise. They are talking about surgically removing something that is now load-bearing inside the way humans make decisions. And when you pull out a load-bearing wall, the ceiling does not celebrate. The ceiling falls. This is about to get a lot bigger than you expected. Part 2. The first 3 days sound incredible and then a reality shows up. Day 1 of a world without advertising feels like a vacation. The highway billboards are blank white rectangles. Your phone is weirdly peaceful. You open Instagram and it is just people posting actual photos of their actual food without a promo code at the bottom. It feels almost illegal, honestly. Day 2, you realize you need a new laptop. And now you have a problem. Because without advertising, you have no idea what laptop is worth buying. You type it into Google and every result is just product pages with specs you do not understand. There is no narrative. There is no story. There is no brand that has spent 20 years convincing you they are the trustworthy one. It is just raw, unfiltered information and your completely unprepared brain. You spend 4 hours reading reviews and end up more confused than when you started. You call your friend who's supposedly good with technology and they tell you to just get the one you have heard of. And you realize you have heard of it precisely because of advertising. So congratulations, the system found you anyway. This is where it gets beautifully, hilariously uncomfortable. Without advertising, small businesses do not just suffer. They basically become invisible. The local restaurant around the corner that has incredible food but no marketing budget. In a world with ads, they can at least boost a post for $40 and reach the neighborhood. In a world without ads, the only way anyone finds them is word of mouth. And word of mouth is fantastic if you already know someone who already went. But if nobody goes first because nobody heard about it, the restaurant closes. The food disappears. The chef finds another job, and you never even knew it existed. Meanwhile, the massive corporations that already have recognition built into cultural memory just coast on legacy brand awareness for the next 30 years while new competitors cannot get a foothold. The thing that was supposed to make the world more equal actually hands permanent power to whoever was already winning before the ban. The thing helping you may also be the thing destroying everything you were hoping for. Part 3. The part where your brain starts doing something genuinely unsettling. Here's the part of this conversation that nobody wants to have. Human beings do not handle a vacuum of influence well, at all. You have been living inside a system that constantly told you what to want, what to buy, what to aspire to, and what success looks like. And even if that system was manipulative and exhausting, it gave your brain something very important: direction. Without advertising, the question becomes, who decides what is desirable? Because something will fill that gap. Your brain will not just sit in neutral and make perfectly rational, uninfluenced decisions. That is not how human cognition works, and it has never been how it works. You are a social animal, and you are always reading signals from the environment about what other people value. Because that is how status works, and status is basically an operating system the species has been running for 200,000 years. So advertising disappears, and within about 6 months you have influencers. But now they are called something else, and they are technically not being paid, which makes them feel more authentic, which makes them actually more powerful, which makes them significantly more dangerous. At least when an ad exists, part of your brain knows it is an ad. The little skepticism alarm goes off somewhere in the background. But when a regular person you feel connected to tells you something changed their life, that alarm is asleep. Completely. You absorb it as genuine information from a trusted source, because that is exactly what it looks and feels like. Research into this is genuinely alarming. People are measurably more influenced by peer recommendations than advertisements, even when the peer recommendation is itself purchased. Which means a world without formal advertising does not create a world without manipulation. It creates a world where the manipulation got better at hiding. You are now living inside something you thought you escaped, and it built the cage using the materials of your own trust. There is one final truth nobody saw coming, and it is going to land somewhere uncomfortable. Part 4. The economy does the thing you absolutely did not want it to do. Let us talk about the number that nobody wants to discuss because it is enormous and slightly terrifying. Global advertising spending is somewhere around $1 trillion annually. $1 trillion. That is not just money that companies spend yelling at you. That is money that pays for the entire ecosystem of content you consume for free. Your favorite podcast, free. Because an ad for a mattress company plays in the middle of it. The news website you open every morning, free. Because there are banner ads on the side that you stopped seeing consciously 3 years ago. YouTube. Basically free. Because a corporation is paying for 15 seconds of your attention every few videos. Take away advertising, and none of those things are free anymore. Which sounds manageable until you realize that subscription fatigue is already real right now with advertising still running at full power. People are already refusing to pay for things because they are already overwhelmed by the number of subscriptions they have. So what happens to the content that cannot get subscriptions? It disappears. The mid-tier creators who were making a decent living on ad revenue and were too niche to build a massive subscriber base, gone. The local news websites already hanging on by a thread, gone. The weird educational channels, the documentary series, the stuff that was never going to go viral but was genuinely useful to the specific people who needed it, quietly erased. And here is the hilariously self-sabotaging part. The people who hated advertising the most were usually the people consuming the most free content. The same person who installed an ad blocker on every device and felt morally superior about it was also watching 6 hours of YouTube a day and listening to podcasts on every commute. They were the exact person whose behavior required the advertising economy to exist. The very activist loudest about burning the system down was, infrastructurally speaking, the person most responsible for keeping it alive. That is not an insult. That is just genuinely hilarious and also deeply human and also a little bit devastating when you really sit with it. There is one final truth that changes the entire frame of this conversation. Part 5. What advertising was actually always about, and why that is the most uncomfortable our realization of all. Okay, full stop. Let me tell you what advertising actually is at its deepest level. Because I think everyone has been arguing about the wrong thing this entire time. Advertising is not really about selling products. Shh. Stay with me here. Advertising at its core is a mechanism for communicating desire across a society. It is a system through which a culture tells itself what it values, what it aspires to, and what version of itself it wants to become. And the reason that feels so uncomfortable is because when you look at what advertising has historically told us to desire, it is a genuinely disturbing mirror. Thinner bodies, younger skin, bigger houses, faster cars, more stuff, newer versions of things you already have, a version of yourself that is always slightly better than the version you currently are, which is a moving target by design, which means you are never actually supposed to arrive anywhere. That is the real product advertising sells, not the thing in the package, the feeling that you are incomplete. And that feeling, sustained over decades across billions of people, is worth more than any individual product, because it is what keeps the whole machine running. So here is the theory, revealed that reframes everything. The question was never whether advertising should be banned. The question was whether we would ever be honest about what we were actually buying into. Because you have always had the ability to look at an ad and recognize it as a constructed narrative designed to create artificial desire. The information was always available. The manipulation was never invisible. It just required effort to see it, and humans are almost perfectly designed to choose comfort over effort when the option is available. And the wildly funny thing is the version of yourself that wants to ban advertising, that wants the clean world without the noise, is also a constructed identity. That preference was shaped by the culture that advertising created. You want authenticity partly because advertising sold you the idea that authenticity is the premium product. You cannot escape the water by being very loudly angry about being wet. Now here is the callback that ties all of this together. Remember at the beginning when you were standing in that supermarket staring at 17 shampoos? The solution was never to have fewer shampoos. The solution was never to remove the information system, as broken as it is. The solution was always to be the kind of person who could stand there, look at 17 options, and make a genuinely informed decision without needing someone to manufacture desire on your behalf. That is the freedom that was always available. Most people just never went and got it because it required doing something significantly harder than watching ads. It required actually knowing what you want. And that, it turns out, is the most difficult thing any person can figure out. Not because the answer is complicated, but because for most of your life, someone else was doing it for you. And that felt like comfort. And comfort, as it always does, became a cage nobody noticed until they tried to leave. So drop a comment and tell me honestly. If advertising disappeared tomorrow and you had to actually figure out what you wanted without anyone telling you, what is the first thing you would have no idea how to choose? Because I have a feeling the answers are going to be more revealing than anyone is comfortable admitting. Also, if you did not subscribe yet, I understand completely. You probably want to think about it more. Weigh the options. Do some independent research. Maybe sleep on it. But just remember everything you used to use to make that kind of decision is gone now. So here we are. Lie.